So check it out. If you like money, if you like business, you like entrepreneurship, then you probably heard that the average millionaire has 7 streams of revenue, right? But what they don't tell you is that you can have multiple streams of revenue from one business if you stay focused and you maximize everything within that business. So in this video, I'm going to talk about $1 million stream of revenue within the Earn Your Leisure empire that they might be overlooking, and you might be overlooking the same thing in your business. So welcome back to the channel. If you don't know, I'm Quintel Harcum. I founded Good Part & Company, plant-based health cafe in Baltimore. I went on to become the first wellness cafe operator and marketing partner at Johns Hopkins, where we help build, grow their wellness curriculum, their wellness cafe on their campus for the students, staff, faculty, all that jazz. From there, off the success of marketing, I launched Green Book Digital, where I help entrepreneurs and creators grow and monetize their audience without having to rely on social media or simply referrals to grow their business. And the way that I do that, the way I like the most, this is my jam, but the way that I was able to help build my business and the way I help other people build their business and own their audience is through email marketing, right? Specifically around newsletters, because with a newsletter, not only do you own your audience, but you get to build a real relationship. There are people who look forward to you hitting them up in their inbox, and that, my friends, is the number one asset that the Earn Your Leisure empire might be overlooking. So I'm going to just break down my full newsletter strategy for Earn Your Leisure. I've been sitting on this for over 6 months. And I reached out to them. Just a full disclosure, I reached out. I spoke with someone, but people get busy, man. Life be real. When you're doing business, a part of the word business is busy. People be busy. They be doing things. It's all good. But I said, you know what? I'm not just going to sit on this. I'm just going to share it. I'm going to talk myself through it. I'm going to work out the kinks. I'm going to think about the improvements I could have put into my pitch when I talk to them. And I'm just going to share it because why not? If they use it, that's great because they get to make, more money. And people are like, oh, yeah, you glazing on your leisure right now. That could possibly be what somebody's going to say while they're watching this, or they might put it in the comments. So what? Your whole job as a person, as an entrepreneur, is to help people achieve their goal. If I was to help them or anybody else in their business, I'd be recommending newsletter services and operations for other businesses. So I get to post it on my channel. I'm happy about that because this stuff gets me excited. Anyway, I did a full presentation, baby, and I'm about to share it with you. So if you're interested in launching a newsletter, if you're interested in improving your email marketing, if you're interested in figuring out a better digital strategy to help you grow and monetize your audience without relying on just referrals for your service-based business or trying to chase the social media hamster wheel, click the link in the description for my digital domination consultation. I like that because it rhymes. But really, it's just a digital strategy session where you work with me, assess where you are with your business, give you a full playbook on how you can improve your digital strategy, all the tools and resources that you actually need, send it all over to you with everything you need so that you can go and build your own digital strategy. So click the link in the description, hit me up, we can work it out, baby. I'm looking forward to it. Now let's dive into my presentation for the $1 million newsletter opportunity for Earn Your Leisure. All right, so right now, there's an overlooked $1 million or more opportunity for Earn Your Leisure, right? They did a great job building out what we can assume is $1 million empire around financial literacy. They came through, just changed the whole game around financial literacy with their Earn Your Leisure. Like that's their flagship program, right? But they realized that they're not just a podcast, right? It's not just two homies talking in the living room like how it started out. They started to build their network, build their resources, and they realized like, yo, we are a network. It's a show, right? They said they learned that from Dame Dash. I like Dame. Dame gave me game on my business when I used to do nightlife and promotion, and also even when I did my juice bar. You can see that over on my page for Good Part & Company, my little conversation with Dame. Anyway, they started to get a better understanding like, hey, EYL is a network. They did some partnerships. Then they launched Market Mondays. Then they started to reach out and bring in other people and other businesses to launch shows under their network, under their umbrella. Then they recently launched last year a show for Blackout. So right now they got 3 core pieces of programming or content under their umbrella, under the EYL umbrella, which is great. And so they can add on top of this, right? Because content is king. You can always add on top of that, right? You can offer your own products. You sell ads against it. You can make money off of Google ads, the revenue, YouTube ad spots, and all that stuff, right? But why I think it's important to start thinking about how to grow the empire is because they just dropped a book, right? They got a New York Times bestseller, which means their audience of readers has just grown, right? It has become more activated because now it's people who like their content, but they prefer to read than watch videos or scroll Instagram or both, right? They it's grown and they more activated. And readers read. So readers read books. Readers like to read newsletters. They like to be informed. They like to consume their content and have a mental picture and visual of whatever it is that they're consuming. And so that leaves a significant opportunity for them to really get revenue and tap it from or tap into their email list a lot more. So currently, I subscribe to their newsletter or I subscribe to their email list last year sometime, and I've been consuming it. I've been checking. I've been rocking with them since like the 5th episode or something like that. And they have my man Derek Falcon on there from Baltimore, and they have another one of my buddies on the show. But I've been listening since early on, and I never even thought to go and just get on their email list because I just watch every week. Like I'm actually tuned in every week. But I signed up to the list, and I get the emails, and they kind of use their email marketing or their email channel like a consumer packaged goods brand would be, like Nike, right? Or if you order any kind of subscription product like supplements, or when you get emails from Target, whoever you're subscribed to, mostly products, right? Product goods, they kind of send promotional emails when they got things on sale, when they got new updates, if they got change in their T's and C's, or if they got any kind of special events that they're hosting, possibly. That's not even most people, but that's kind of how they do it. So they just use it as a promotional channel to promote their content over on YouTube, or to promote their special events, or promote their merch, or any kind of special offers. But what I think they could do is to transform their email marketing from a transactional channel, like a consumer's packaged goods brand, to more of a relational channel, right? It's a relational asset where you can generate predictable revenue. So it can be predictable. Like Nike can track how much money they make every month through their email. And any other business can do that. But it doesn't work as well for businesses built around knowledge, right? Or thought leadership or education-based emails, because the whole reason we're showing up is to get some kind of educational value. And that doesn't translate as well in certain types of emails, right? Especially in just promotional emails. So it's great that they still keep people abreast of everything they got going on, but there's a bigger opportunity to generate revenue through more relational type of content through email and more educational type of stuff through email. And what I've been subscribed to newsletters for a long time, but I really started diving in around 2019 before I opened my cafe with The Hustle. And that's a newsletter about business, and it's kind of from like a more of a millennial point of view. So they speak in language and terms that we understand, and I just thought it was great. But when I really started to dive into the model of business or newsletter business models, I live in Baltimore. So if you're really deep in the newsletter game, look up Agora or Google Agora. It's $1 billion newsletter business. I live in Baltimore. Agora is based in Baltimore. I got friends that work for Agora. So I'm kind of close to that activity. And I was always intrigued because I like writing, I like reading. But the thing is with Agora, like they got all this data, all this insight, all of these networks, and some of the stuff they do is fishy. This is not about Agora. This is about the newsletter business model. So I'll tell you why newsletters matter. I know about Agora building $1 billion business. They have an owned audience that they can email and show up in their inbox. That owned audience is away or off of the algorithm. It's not suppressed or affected by Instagram, by Meta, by Google, by Elon and X. None of that, right? You own that audience. You own that list. Nobody can take that from you. It's a direct connection, so you control the relationship. You determine when you want to send the emails, right? Nobody has any say over that. But now you don't have control over who opens it, but you can always initiate that relationship or that communication. And then it's a great way to generate revenue. Now, the newsletter business model that Agora actually uses is they have a multi-layer model, but a lot of times it's just like a low-cost newsletter for a small subscription price, either monthly or yearly. On the back end, they upsell you to more informative newsletter for a higher price, and then some other kind of $1,000 something to really exclusive information that people who really got a lot of money need this information. And they do that all across health and finances. Some of the stuff is a little shaky, but that's one model. Another newsletter model is making money, running ads, selling your own products, and those are the things we're going to dive into. So really, rock with me, stick with me. If you're not into it, one of my friends said a long time ago, and I don't like that he said it, but I appreciate his point of view. He was like, yo, emails, like, people don't read. Like, our people don't read. That's a lie. Readers are leaders. The people that you sell to don't read, But the people who need to be around money, they read. Like they interviewed Mark Cuban on Earn Your Leisure. He talked about how he spent all his time reading. So or a lot of his time reading. So we read. The people who about getting this money read. So we know what you get out of newsletters, right? Why it's important. I'm going too fast. Why they matter. You have own audience, a direct connection, generate revenue. What that really looks like, you got more leverage, right? More leverage over your business and over your audience. You got more authority because you have a direct relationship, and then you can make more money because who's more engaged. You got access to more data, right? Data is the highest level of currency right now, right? Or highest level resource. So you got access to that. So you can make more money and make more impact because you know exactly what your readers want. Now, to give you a quick insight into like the newsletter game and how it's really been like going crazy over the last few years, and is the ones that have been getting sold. Like they really print money. Like they make money along the way, and then other media outlets or other businesses come through, scoop them up for large sums. They're terrific assets that if you got a good sized audience and you can prove that you can produce a certain amount of revenue, you're gonna make money on your newsletter. So I'll give you a few examples because I was subscribed to two of these. The Morning Brew. Well, let's go back to The Hustle because that's the first one I signed up to before it actually sold. The Hustle was founded by Sam Parr. So if you don't know, Sam Parr is the co-host of My First Million, founded The Hustle. It's a business and tech newsletter. I was always into business and tech. It's up to around somewhere around 2 million subs. I think Sam was there. They had over 1 million or so. But it sold for reported somewhere between $25 and $30 million to HubSpot. So you would think, well, it's just a newsletter. It's just email, but it's valuable data there. And HubSpot was smart enough to know, instead of me trying to go from the ground up to get businesses, HubSpot sells enterprise software. Instead of me trying to create content that attracts businesses, I'll go and partner with or buy up the assets that already talk to those audiences. That's how the hustle got sold to HubSpot. Mind you, all this was done with a staff of only 5 people. So it only took 5 people to make between $20 and $30 million. I think that's a good business model. That's worth it to me. It's worth pursuing. The Morning Brew, I signed up to a Morning Brew. They at around 3 million subs. It's a business newsletter. They have other things under the Morning Brew. It's OD right now, but I subscribe to see what it's hitting for. Some of the stuff is very useful to me. It's sold for reported $75 million to the Business Insider, right? People acquire businesses either to pick up an asset or to partially eliminate the competition, right? It happens. Then there's the Milk Road. That was founded by Sean Perry. He's actually Sam's co-host at My First Million. But he was also inspired by The Hustle because he's like, oh, I can just talk about the thing that I like the most, and other people who are into it will get down. My man sold the Milk Road, which was about cryptocurrency. Talked about it in a really fun, exciting, engaging way for somewhere around $10 million within the first 10 months. So it didn't even take a whole year before he was able to sell it to somebody else who values information on cryptocurrency. So that's just to give you a quick background on how the newsletter business model is a really big asset. Now this could be way beyond like where you at for your business or what you might think your business is worth. But just know that you can print money, like you can make money inside your newsletter, and that newsletter can also be a growing asset within your business to make your business more valuable. Now, if you don't have a full business, there are some straight up this solo creators or small teams of people who run $1 million newsletter operations. So I happen to follow a whole lot of them because I spend a lot of time either watching YouTube or reading newsletters or writing. And now I'm creating, so I'm trying to create as much as I consume, right? In the on the platforms that I like. All right. Anyway, personal brands. Justin Wells, big popular newsletter, got big on Newsland. Cody Sanchez, she's popular for boring businesses, right? Contrarian thinking makes her over $1 million. Sahil Bloom, he ain't trying to sell you nothing in his newsletter, still doing over M. Dan Coe, up to $5 million off of his newsletter, his whole empire. But all of these are based around continuing to create content. It's just about where you create it and how you strategically set it up for you to make more and more money. Alex Garcia with Marketing Examined. So I started looking up some black creators that have popular newsletter. Webb Smith with 2 p.m. Really great model here. They have upsells to like private or exclusive communities and groups. And then Dan Runcie, who I found out about him on YouTube, just doing interviews and stuff like that. But Trapital is about the record industry. Their businesses are doing a combination of newsletters, podcasts, other content. But having that newsletter allows them to own that audience, tap in with the audience, show up for that audience in the way that the audience likes the most, with the products, with the content and everything. And it just keeps you like really like all the way in. So let's talk about how this can really work out for Earn Your Leisure and how I'll build it for them. So I built a newsletter for my juice bar, which is really why I got so popping and it was able to get enough traction to get on Hopkins radar. Like we did okay on Instagram, but the newsletter is what kept people coming back. Okay, and that's everybody from citywide to all the people on campus. So that's what the success I had. The most recent success in my history with newsletters goes back to 2004, 2005, and my first business where we did nightlife promotion. That was when things started picking up with MySpace, Facebook, and everybody was on Hotmail and had sidekicks and Blackberries. So I would email newsletters about the parties. It would either be a recap of the party before or an introduction of the party to come, or just like, yo, what drinks did y'all like? Stuff like that. That's what I used to put in the newsletters, right? It was a lot less sophisticated than it was basically just an email going to their emails. And then I found out it wasn't spam. I was like, oh, I know a little something. So that's my background. I gave you that so you should know I know a little bit about it. Because it really excites me. That's like this is my thing. So let's talk about it, man. I'm talking too much. Let's get right into it. Boom. First thing that you do, you don't just go and buy some newsletter software and start emailing people. You got to have a mission statement. Remember, we're building another $1 million asset that's just waiting there to be activated. So you need a mission statement that's different from the core content. So I feel like they've done a great job separating what they do with the content from Earn Your Leisure, right, the flagship show. Market Mondays could arguably be more popular or at least more engaging, has a more engaged audience. And then you have Blackout, which is an opinion-based show, which could be more entertaining, more top of funnel, more expansive as far as like the audience, right? So you want the newsletter to be very specific. So you need a mission for it. For example, it could be weekly wealth insights, right, that you don't find on YouTube. Notice that it's on YouTube, not just on Earn Your Leisure, but on YouTube, because now it's comparing or beating out all the other content, right? Or it could just be like weekly deep dives, exclusive case studies on Earn Your Leisure's guest of Earn Your Leisure's global community of entrepreneurs, right? So like you just got to make it grand but still specific, right? What's the promise you're going to deliver on in that newsletter? That's what the mission statement is about. Then you need to make it specific for subscribers. So you want to set it up and think, what can I offer and what do they want? Once I figure that out, then you just, or who am I making this for and what do they want? So you want to describe who it's for, what you want to offer, what's the unique value proposition or what you're going to deliver, and then the transformation. They're going to become better entrepreneurs, better investors, better with money, better at financial literacy. It could be all those things. You find a way to describe it, put it all together. That's the mission that you got for the Earn Your Leisure newsletter. Now, this is where I really think that they can elevate the Earn Your Leisure brand by branding the newsletter different. So you want to give it a different identity. You almost want to think like, yeah, you want it to be current, you want it to be new, but you want it to feel like Wall Street Journal. You want it to feel like the New York Times. So you got to give it a distinct name, right? The Leisure Letter, the Earner's Digest, the Earner's Express. Give it a distinct name, but also give it a strong look, okay? A distinct color palette, a good header image inside the newsletter. So when you open up the email, it looks good. You know exactly what it is. We know what WSJ is. We know what that the New York Times with the serif font. Like we understand that. We get it. We see it. Right? We like it. Some people love it. People have really loyal. We know what Forbes look like. We know the big bold letters for Forbes. Inc. magazine, the big INC. Like we know what that's hitting for. So you got to brand it strong. Okay. And you want it to still feel like it's a part of the Earn Your Leisure network, but you want it to feel like its own product. So you got to brand it strongly. Then you set up the content pillars. All right, we know who we're going to serve. What's the content that we can always go back to? This is content strategy for almost everything, but you want to have some main pillars that you work within, okay? So they could do, like they started out breaking down different deals and stuff, right? For the 50-cent vitamin water, Junior Bridgman, they talked about in the early episodes, stuff like that. So you can do deal breakdowns. Like they don't do as much of that anymore. They can get back to that, right? Or they can do step-by-step frameworks from either previous podcasts or or different things that they understand and know about now or that they've learned. Investment analysis, right? They can use some of the stuff they talk about on their show, and have some expert commentary from other people that they've had guests on. Not necessarily Market Monday, but around just the things from the Earn Your Leisure side of Market Mondays, because you may not want to infringe on the things that Ian knows or talks about over in Red Panda, right? That's something different. Market trends and interpretation. So understanding the market, like they do business now, they understand what's getting impacted. They have other businesses under Earn Your Leisure. They got the trucking, whatever the other things are. They can talk about all the things that they see in business and how those things are being impacted by macroeconomics, right? By the GDP, politics, so on and so forth. You talk about those things in depth in the newsletter. And then success stories, right? You want to talk about actionable takeaways that they've had in business, or that a lot of their podcast guests, or even the people they talk about, they talk about it often. Where Troy be like, somebody came up to him, they saw in the airport, and they show him, their brokerage account and their phone and stuff like that. So you talk about those things, you set up those things, and then you can always go back to them in each newsletter issue in some variation. Right? Then you want to give, now that you know what you're going to talk about, you want to give it a framework. So because you want it to be easy to understand. We know what the sports page is in the Wall Street Journal or whatever your local news publication is. We know, even if it's not like the actual physical paper or in the magazine, when you go on the website, they got tabs for a reason. That's a framework. Like, this tab go right here, this tab right here. It's all a certain type of color, certain types of highlights. That's framing things out. Make it easy to navigate, right? But with this, in this newsletter, when you start it out, remember, I'm just building this thing. So it's going to be trial and error at the start, and you figure out what works. So you keep reworking. All right, we see that this email opened and people read more about this. Oh, we got this many responses about this section on the framework that we learned, or this section on financial literacy. All right, we need to keep putting this block of information here, right? And then you just rinse and repeat, right? So you got to get the framework, and then you just keep doing it every week. It makes it easy for people to read and consume. Your brain optimizes for efficiency. I know that sounds like some real too many big words, but your brain is always looking for the easiest way to do something. So if you can make it easy, it's like wearing a uniform. You don't got to think about it. You just put it on. So you want to make the reading, the newsletter, you put it in a uniform setup. Make it easy to read. Now, this is the money shot right here. This is where we get paid. How are we going to monetize this? There are a lot, when I tell you, a lot of creative ways to monetize, right? A newsletter in your newsletter model, which is why it's so great, because you can control all of the ways in which you get paid. You cannot do that on any other social media, on most other social media networks. Matter of fact, none of them, because on Patreon, you get paid a certain way. You charge for the tier, and then that's that. Maybe a little more flexibility over there, but on the majorly distributed social media platforms, YouTube, you just get paid through the ads, and then you got whatever your offers are going to be, some affiliate stuff. Instagram, same thing. Facebook, same thing. TikTok, you got TikTok Shop. But in this case, we're not selling products, right? So we're selling more information, right? Connections, network. So a newsletter is the best way to control that, because with a newsletter, you can go a mile deep, not wide. And the deeper you can go, like, it just resonates more. You get more repeat customers. You can solve more problems, because business is just problem solving. You can just figure out more ways to serve and not have to fight against a whole bunch of other people. But you can be really creative in how you go about serving. Now, I'm not a part of EYLU, but I want to be mindful of that. I'm not trying to cannibalize that if I'm building out this newsletter. So I want to have other exclusive offers. And these can be offered to people as like a bonus or add-on to EYLU, or a part of the next tier. Like, oh, you get our newsletter, you get this part of the EYLU and the newsletter, or vice versa, right? But you don't want to really do too much of the same thing. You want to make it desirable on its own. So you want to make it exclusive, and then you can actually use the newsletter to guide people into EYLU where they find it useful without being salesy, because they already know it's a part of the whole ecosystem. So it's not crazy if you talk about it. So of course you want people that read the newsletter to sign up. But again, you might can borrow a little bit from EYLU, but you don't want it to be the exact same thing. You don't want to give away too much for free. You got to keep some of the sauce. So this is the typical basic way a lot of people monetize. You have a free newsletter. When you're dealing with financial newsletters, you can always do a premium tier where people pay a couple dollars for the year, a couple dollars for the month. They'll do, say, $29 a month or $300 a year. I always say go for the yearly payment because the cost of distribution is next to zero for one, but also you secure the payment, right? And then you'll have at least it improves the lifetime customer value because they're there for the whole year, and people are less likely to cancel a subscription that they've had for a year versus a month. Okay, then you could do like an inner circle, which is a next tier where they get the newsletter, they get the deep dive analysis, but then they also get access to like a special community, an inner circle community where you can get deal flow, you can collaborate with other entrepreneurs, you can get direct access. And I'm sure they have some version of that in EYLU, but if not, then you can put it in the newsletter. And that's another creative way to build around the interest of what's going on in the newsletter. And then, of course, you could do sponsorships. So you can have partnerships. You can really just sponsor the newsletter with their own program, right? They can sponsor the newsletter with EYLU when they don't have anybody else that want to pay for a spot in the newsletter. Hey, sign up, for Earn Your Leisure. Here go a discount or something, right? But I know they probably get pitched a lot for strategic partners, and this is a place where they can increase visibility for their partners. Right now, everybody's probably trying to do like special events with them or get an ad on their platform, but they don't have to do that, so they don't. But in the newsletter, it's helpful because it's very, very specific. It's very, very targeted. You can show up to a partner that you would like to work with and say, hey, I got this many thousands of subscribers and 20% of them all own a small business that makes $500,000 or more. 10% make $1 million or more. So they can go and work with somebody who sells small business enterprise services or whatever the case may be. At the level of their readership that they probably going to get, $25,000 is low, but I'm just thinking on the low end. $2,500, $2,500 to $5K per send per ad. So you might have one, maybe two, right? You don't want to really, you don't want to slut yourself out just trying to get all the ads, right? But you get one or two. You send them every week. Every issue, however many times you send a week. That's how much you're going to make, right? Because that many people is probably going to click through from the size of their audience. Some additional plays I thought about. It could be a gateway. Like recently they launched their first masterclass. It was like, it was very exclusive. So they only had a few guests or a few people that were let into the masterclass, which I thought was cool. Makes it a lot more desirable, a lot more hands-on. So you can introduce masterclasses exclusively to the newsletter and give access to early access to live events, which this is something that they already do with their email promotion, like early access to InvestFest and stuff like that. But any other special events, they can do that. But then also, the newsletter is a path to investable businesses for within the EYL community. So if there's any businesses there that through the community that they learn about, that they feel like, that business needs some help expanding, and that's worth investing in, now they got access to deal flow. Right, they go to all these other things like the joint oh man, I can't think of the name, but overseas where all of the billionaires and millionaires go to, whatever they go to that. All of the things though, you need access to deal flow. That's what millionaires like. That's what they do. But they got access to smaller deals within the community. Or some of them might be big deals, right? So they got access to that, and the people are more likely to offer that deal flow in a more secure, tight knit type of group, right? A more exclusive kind of group, and having a newsletter community is a community built through your newsletter is a lot more close-knit, right? Now, how do you figure out where the investable deals are, where the best lead flow, where the best transactions are going to go down in the newsletter? You got to segment, right? You can't treat everybody the same because everybody doesn't have the exact same interest when it comes to financial literacy or business. I'm mindful of that. And so I would incorporate that into their newsletter. From day one, off the rip, I get the call to do a newsletter for anybody. I'm asking them about who this newsletter is going to, who is your core audience. And then we're going to figure out the next layer down. What does that audience like? Because all of them don't like the same things. They like different products from your business, different services from your business. And we're going to figure out how to do it. So day one, we're going to start segmenting based on interest. And you can do that in a newsletter through direct response surveys. So like you can literally send a survey. You can incentivize a survey or not. You can send it to them and say, hey, we want to learn more about you. Make sure that this is hitting like how you wanted to hit. Answer these questions for me. Or you can do what's called zero data surveys, where you basically insert certain polls, certain links, and you can track the behavior of your readers based on what they click and engage with, right? So that'll let you know what their primary interests are, and then you can build better newsletters, better emails, better products, better services around it. Off top, I'm already thinking that the people who are in the earning your leisure community are people that's interested in investing, clearly, right, for Market Mondays. People interested in real estate, shout out to their other partner, Matt, right, in real estate. Major stock market players, like people who actually work in the stock market or who are already heavily invested. It's a difference between the newbies and people like more experienced. It's not, I don't mean newbie in a negative way, but if you know somebody's just getting started, there's something different that they might can get into. Everybody there is probably interested in making their own money, so people who are actually business owners, and you can also vet for that. Like you can pre-qualify for that. Like, hey, you could put in links and something around ownership for a certain amount of time. Has your business been open for this amount of years, or does it make over a certain amount of money? There are ways you can do zero data on that. And then last, people that's looking to improve just their financial literacy overall, like credit optimization and stuff like that. Not on no scam stuff type stuff, but that people are looking for ways to better handle their money. So once you segment, you want to make sure you get engagement, so you can feature community success stories. So if you're engaging with the right people, you're talking to the people in the community, it's just so much more easy to say, hey, shoot me an email back on something that went well in your business. They're more likely to communicate there than they would just typing that into the chat on Market Mondays or in the comments on YouTube or something, right? You can answer subscriber questions. I love this. I subscribed to a newsletter not long ago from my man Jesse Puggi. He started Ant Push. So basically he does like high level marketing for like and research rather for like these big Fortune 500 companies. He started a newsletter. He's around a lot of tech guys, super smart. Like I love how these guys move. So I followed him. He responds back to the emails, to a lot of the emails, like every day. So I sent the email and he hit me back. Like that matters to me because now like I'm learning something from somebody who's way further than me in the business game. He's not necessarily my mentor or anything, but he's willing to give me some time and a little bit of insight. So and that'll be helpful to the EYL newsletter community. So answer some subscriber questions, people that subscribe to the newsletter, answer it in the newsletter. Hey, this week's questions came from such and such. This is what we think. Troy's response, Rashad's response, right? Boom. And then you can use polls to see what they think about that. And then you can create like little small challenges like, hey, we're going to do an investment challenge. I think they did a challenge before where they had like a little text group where they talked about some plays or options that they was doing or something like that. And you could do that better. You could better manage it through developing and engaging your newsletter community. Now, I talked about everything I would do to like build it up. Now we got to roll it out, right? You don't just announce that you're going to have it and then start putting it. Now you can fly the plane as you building it or build the plane as you flying it. But right now they are established media network. So like they don't have to just rush and get things done. So you plan to roll out. The same way they roll out, talk like teasing about their book or any other special events, you do the same thing here. Now, I know that success loves speed. You could take 90 days, you could take 3 months to do a really good newsletter. But the truth is, if you're working with a dedicated newsletter operator, you can get that thing up and rolling in a couple of weeks, right? You don't want to rush it. You just want to make sure you got the right foundation, right? So within a reasonable amount of time, you could probably get it set up to really, really execute at a high level in 45 days. 60 days max, 30 days minimum. I mean, right at the fastest, you can probably do it in 30 days because you're going to have to spend time and fit into their schedule to figure out exactly what they need. And I understand that through operating other digital strategies and newsletter setups and stuff like that. You got to figure out some automations. You got to import list, right? They already got a list. They're going to grow more of a list. So you got to figure out the best tools and things like that. So that might take a little bit of time. Do you have a pre-launch strategy? This is where you start teasing out what's happening. So it could be a 14-day countdown. So that means like over a 2-week span, they are promoted. We got something coming up on each one of their shows. So 3 times a week they're talking about it. And then they could tease it in their stories on Instagram, in their feed on Instagram, or wherever else they feel is appropriate. They can incentivize it with early bird incentives like, hey, sign up and sign up for this new thing we got coming, and we'll send you the details early on. And then that will have people become founding members, right? You can offer founding member benefits. Now, again, this is about maximizing the impact, the reach, and the level of engagement that converts into customers. I don't think that they like thirsty to get paid on certain types of stuff, right? But so my point in saying that is a founding member thing sounds like something for a startup brand. This is not a startup brand, but is a startup project. So you want to make people understand that this is not just an afterthought. You want to let them know this is to be treated like a real deal. Like we come in for this newsletter space, right? So you want to lean in some. So that's what offering founding member benefits would be about. And that founding member benefit could be something about a community, just some kind of asset that nobody else can get to that doesn't take too much of the founders, the original founders from Earn Your Leisure. Don't take too much of their time. So that's what I think about that, because the relationships compound differently. So over a longer period of time, knowing that this is like a really good thing, a really impactful type of product, a newsletter, people consume written content different, and it really, really compounds because in their mind, you're spending more time taking up more mental bandwidth than just watching like a video or a movie or something like that. That's my analysis of it. Now, next thing you want to do when you're rolling out, of course, you want to register, get up all the social handles on across all of the platforms, just to have it, whether you promote there or not. You want to have it, secure the domain name, because again, this is a dedicated piece of content, trademark the newsletter brand, all that good stuff. Protect the asset, because it's only going to make Earn Your Leisure more valuable. But somebody actually may want to buy just this property. Like they may not even want to buy all the things, which that would be cool if they did, if they needed it to. But you can actually sell that separate, right? That's the beauty of having a newsletter and owning that content and that asset. And if I was rolling out, I would probably do something like an 80-20 rule, right? So, like that applies to everything. So they already offer a whole lot of content online, but you don't want to repeat all of that content, because now it's like, well, what's the point of signing up for this if I can just watch it over here? And it's way easier to just listen to a podcast or listen to a YouTube video or watch a YouTube video. So you find the top 20% from the YouTube and from the podcast, and then you sprinkle in the things, the more valuable insights, or you distill it down to the most important parts and then maybe expand on those important parts. And again, you're starting out, so you test it. You see what works, you see what sticks, and you keep rolling. And then maybe you incorporate a little bit more from the other podcast, because that information may be a little more engaging. You may not find it, or whoever's working on it may not find it as engaging, but it's what the newsletter crowd wants to know. Now, this part is very major, because most businesses overlook this. They always say, hey, sign up for my newsletter. Hey, join my email list. You've seen all of those default template websites where at the very bottom it say join the newsletter or sign up for my email list, or even it's a pop-up and say join the email list to get exclusive updates, offers, and whatever else. And it be phony because people never really follow through with the emails. They don't have a welcome email. They don't have a welcome email sequence. You just get into the email, and if they do hit you back, it's with a straight promotion to sell you something. So you need to come with a lead magnet to incentivize people to actually join the list, make it worth their while, and also set the tone for what that relationship through that medium is going to be, right? So that lead magnet could be something like signature Earn Your Leisure framework, something that they learned about in business. One of the free masterclasses, they talk about how Troy dropped the crazy masterclasses on options or something like that. They did that leading up to their book. It could be a free copy of the book. It could be 14, 30-day limited time access to Earn Your Leisure University. Whatever it is, you want to give a lead magnet, because that whole join my mailing list, that joint be whack. That's just a big fail for most people. Give them a reason to join the list, or just give them something for free. Now you got the contact, and they're not mad that you're going to email them because you already gave them something. It's called the law of reciprocity. So get into it. Lead magnet, very, very big deal. And if you need help with building a lead magnet, that's one thing that I do well, because people need to understand better how businesses can serve. So having a lead magnet is really helpful, and you can learn more about that at the links in my description. So from day one, I talked about segmenting. You segment with the lead magnet, and after the lead magnet, you follow up with a really good welcome email. That's going to drive that zero data, right, or that interest based engagement. Now, if you don't understand what a welcome email is about, or welcome email sequence, you can get access to my free training on writing masterful welcome emails that actually convert and make the people who are on your list happy they signed up, right? It makes them happy that they become your client, your customer, or part of your community. So click the link in the description and you can learn more about writing masterful welcome emails. But that's what you want to use to start collecting that interest and behavior based data from the people on the list for this Earn Your Leisure newsletter. Now, distribution, this is the easy part. This is why it's going to be worth $1 million, because they already got millions of followers. You don't need everybody to sign up to your email list to make a lot of money. I proved that from the solo creators that I talked about earlier in this here video. So the way they're going to distribute it is through YouTube. They're going to tell everybody the same way they tell everybody to like, subscribe, comment, or whatever in the chat. Another CTA, during the podcast, during the YouTube, subscribe to the email list. Or better yet, get our free what's the name, or join our email list and get our free whatever the lead magnet is, right? You're going to drop a subscribe link in the video or the podcast description. You can have a link to the newsletter or to the lead magnet on Instagram or on TikTok. You could do links in Instagram stories. So you already got distribution to thousands of people. Mind you, that content is a little, not that content, but that distribution, because we don't control it, it's on the algorithm. So it's going to hit or miss. So be consistent with that. But we want to continue to use that distribution because we only expect to convert less than 5% of the people at some point into the newsletter. That's just starting out. From there, we want to build out a content ecosystem flywheel. So actually, it kind of already takes care of itself. So I didn't have to do too much thinking about this because I already understand how newsletters work, and they just thrive off of whatever content got them there, and then you just intelligently put together the newsletter, and it can feed back right back into the content. So you do YouTube and social media drives people to the newsletter. The newsletter drives people to the YouTube and the podcast because it's going to recap some of that information or use the top 20%, right? And then that reinforces all three, the YouTube, podcast, and the newsletter, and that all drives sales because the ecosystem is not linear. It's not sign up, then here come all these emails or here come all these ads, buy. Every week they've been giving out game for free for however many years. Somewhere along the lines you might find something valuable and you pay for it. But if you got more and more content within the ecosystem and it's pushing you back and forth through all of the content, you're more likely to invest in something. So that's how that works. One platform feeds the other. Here's why it actually works. When you do the numbers and you break it down, I'm going off the lowest amount, right? If you can just get a little bit. It don't take up with the size of their audience, it only takes a little bit. And because their audience is global, you really got a chance to do this. They already got 1.5 million or more subs on YouTube. Same on Instagram. You consider that there's a whole lot of overlap. I'm just going to say altogether it's 100. It's 1.5 million, right? You're only looking to convert a small part of that. So if you convert 1% of 1.5 million, 1% shouldn't be, like right now they probably have 1% already on their email list. So if we just convert it from a marketing email list to a newsletter, we got traction. I'm pretty sure it's over 15,000. So if you convert 15,000 out of the list that they already have, and then you continue to grow the list, you're talking about something there, right? So we can be looking to convert 1% of their total audience, whether that audience is already in the email list, following them on YouTube, or following them on social media. Convert 1% to a paid or premium subscription for $97 a year. That's $1.5 million. You convert 0.5% at $300 or $297, whatever pricing you want, somewhere around that. That's 7,500 people at $300. You see what that's sitting for, $2.25, right? Million. And then on top of that, you have your sponsorships and your affiliate revenue. So that's $2,500 per ad per send. So if you're sending out once or twice a week, let's just say once a week, right? We took in the smallest amount. So I'm not trying to overhype this thing, but I'm keeping it really real. 2,500 per ad. Let's say they do one ad from an outside source per week. One send, one ad. That's 10,000. That's $120,000 a year. That might be small in comparison to a million something, but that's the just the cost of doing business. That offset whatever they got to pay in any of like their fees that they got to pay for software and stuff like that, right? To automate a lot of processes, and they're going to have to get a customized plan because they probably going to have a really large list, so they got to pay for that, right? Those ads can go ahead and offset that, and now anybody that signed up for a premium tier, that's all upside, that's all profit, that's all alpha. So we need that. So that's why this actually works for Earn Your Leisure, right? And then so it works well for this brand, not just for the amount of money that they're going to make, right? I'm not gassing it up. This is not cap, as the kids say. No, but this is very doable. This is very doable, right? Once you understand the newsletter business model and have your own pricing structure, your own offers, you can really hit this. And you invest in it and really be consistent. And I don't think they have a problem with consistency in anything they believe in. But what makes it really unique is that they already trusted in the financial education space. They already have an existing content library. So that can be repurposed in very, very specific and targeted ways. Like, I didn't put it on here, but if you go to their YouTube channel, they have playlists. Now, imagine you break out the playlist or update the playlist, and then you make those playlists into newsletters. Well, the playlist just get you a few cents each time that it get played on YouTube. But since it's already organized and you put it in a newsletter and it gets segmented, the offer you make can be higher, the value, right? So it's not a few cents, it's a couple $100. Now, it's not going to add up each time somebody opens that email unless you got an ad attached to it. But once somebody buy it, it's worth way more than a few cents. Okay, I hope you walk with me. I hope you understand me on that. But anyway, they have an existing content library. They already have an engaged audience. If somebody's opening your emails, they're even more engaged if you're making it worth their while, right? And then it just makes them more of an authority in the space. And they are an authority to a certain degree as far as entrepreneurship, but they have access to a lot of other people who are authorities in the space, right? With Market Mondays, they got friends in the restaurant space, they got thought leaders, 19 Keys in his space, and all other spaces, right? All their other friends, they got a few celebrities that do some things. So they got authority in all the spaces relevant to the community. So they already there, right? And that's what gave me the idea. Like if they already got the access, lying dormant under all that access is just information. And what people fail to realize is that, like, for service-based businesses specifically, right? This is not just about Earning Your Leisure. A service-based business is just an application of information. It's basically an information business. It's just built on top of an information business. Like everything you know or you learn about a specific skill set, you go and offer that skill set as a service. So all the information they have can just be bust down into a service or a product. We don't want to make it a service because they ain't got time. So we make it a product. That makes it Earn Your Leisure. This product has crazy distribution. It's a layup. It's a layup. So my ideas didn't stop with Earn Your Leisure. Recently, I've been working to help a lot of other service-based entrepreneurs and creators. So if that's you and you're interested in setting up a digital strategy where we can put together some ideas around your own newsletter to build out your business, or a different digital strategy on how you can leverage social media or other platforms so that you can own your audience ultimately and not have to rely on social media or just referrals and testimonials to get customers and grow your business, holla at your boy. Click the link in the description, and I would love to bounce ideas and see how I can help you achieve your goals in expanding and growing your business. I will check you guys out in the next video.